The footage shows a crew attempting to relocate an entire, fully assembled section of scaffolding without first disassembling it or using a safe moving method. As the workers pushed or pulled the initial section, this action caused the attached or adjacent scaffolding structure to become unstable, leading to a massive, uncontrolled collapse. The falling metal framework violently struck a nearby worker. Scaffolding must always be properly disassembled before being moved, unless it is a certified mobile scaffold, and all moving procedures, like lowering the height and clearing the path, are strictly followed. Never move large, interconnected sections while they are fully erected. Failure to properly break down or safely relocate scaffolds risks catastrophic structural failure and severe impact trauma to personnel in the area. The video captures two workers attempting to manually shift or push a large, heavy load or stack of materials. Instead of utilizing appropriate mechanical equipment, such as a forklift or pallet jack, they relied on sheer physical effort to maneuver the cargo. The load proved to be too heavy and unwieldy for them to control, causing it to suddenly roll forcefully across the floor and crash through a doorway. Fortunately, no personnel were in the immediate vicinity of the crashing material. It is mandatory to use mechanical handling equipment, like a forklift or hoist, for all loads that exceed the established safe limits for manual handling. Relying on physical strength alone, or using unsafe manual methods to handle massive freight, is strictly prohibited, as it risks severe impact accidents, property damage, and significant musculoskeletal injuries to the workers involved. The video captures a dangerous moment as a worker was operating from a boom lift platform at a significant height. During the task, the lift platform experienced a sudden, uncontrolled, and violent jolting motion, likely due to a malfunction or operational error, that catapulted the worker out of the basket. Critically, the worker was properly tied off with a safety harness and lanyard connected to an approved anchor point, which instantly engaged and arrested the fall, preventing a major accident. Personal fall arrest systems, PFAS, are mandatory whenever operating any aerial work platform like a boom lift. Always maintain 100% tie-off, ensuring the safety harness is securely fastened and anchored at all times. This system is the sole, indispensable safeguard against catastrophic falls resulting from mechanical failure or sudden platform instability. The video footage shows a mechanic performing maintenance or inspection work in a vehicle repair bay. Crucially, the heavy tilt cab assembly of a large truck was raised and held in an upright position without what appears to be adequate, secure mechanical supports. The mechanic then entered the danger zone near the front of the vehicle to inspect a smaller component. Suddenly, the large, unsecured truck cabin collapsed forward without warning, striking the mechanic who was working in its path. Never work beneath or near a raised component, especially a heavy vehicle cabin, unless it is secured by certified secondary safety props or lock mechanisms. Standard hydraulic systems are not sufficient for continuous support. This catastrophic failure underscores the absolute necessity of 100% mechanical securement to prevent unexpected falls and severe impact trauma. The video captures a scene where a man is in the process of unloading multiple items from an elevator or freight lift. While moving the cargo, he inadvertently left a length of rope or cable trailing out of the elevator car and across the threshold. Suddenly, the elevator doors automatically closed and the lift began to ascend, causing the rope to become taut. The tension from the ascending car violently dragged the man's remaining cargo, pulling it out of his grasp before he could react and clear the path. Always ensure the elevator threshold and the car itself are completely clear of all ropes, cables, and obstructions before the doors are allowed to close. Never leave material partially inside or connected to objects outside a lift car. This swift reaction demonstrates the serious hazard of equipment unexpectedly engaging and creating an uncontrolled situation involving fast-moving loads and personnel. The video documents a hazardous recovery attempt where a crew used an excavator or heavy machine to lift or push a tipped-over or stuck loader. Crucially, they attempted this operation without using certified straps, cables, or secure rigging to safely control the movement of the damaged machine. As the excavator lifted the loader, The unsecured load suddenly slipped or rolled down the incline, demonstrating the immediate loss of control due to the absence of proper restraining methods. All recovery and lifting operations must utilize certified rigging equipment and a clear, safety-approved procedure. Never attempt to lift, push, or drag heavy equipment without securely attaching control lines and recovery straps rated for the load. Failure to properly secure and control the recovered equipment significantly escalates the risk of catastrophic secondary accidents and impact trauma. The video shows a man approaching and attempting to step onto an escalator, Hu Thang Kuen. It appears he may be unfamiliar with or momentarily distracted by the moving nature of the steps. As he tried to board, the unfamiliar motion caused him to lose his balance immediately. This loss of footing resulted in the man falling forward and tumbling multiple times down the moving staircase. The core lesson here is critical. Always pay full attention when stepping onto or off an escalator. Ensure your footing is solid before moving and hold onto the handrail to maintain stability, especially if carrying heavy items or if the movement is unfamiliar. The rapid movement of the steps can quickly escalate a simple misstep into a significant accident. The video shows a man working in an office environment, focused on a desktop computer and seemingly attempting to input data or type a document. Suddenly, the computer appears to malfunction, run slowly, or become unresponsive, leading to extreme visible frustration. In an uncontrolled outburst, the man retrieves a sledgehammer and repeatedly strikes the computer and monitor, resulting in the complete destruction of the equipment. Employees must manage workplace stress and frustration through professional and non-destructive means. The use of force or weapons to address equipment failures is strictly prohibited and constitutes a gross violation of workplace safety and conduct policy. All equipment issues must be reported immediately to IT or management for repair or replacement, ensuring a safe and non-violent environment for all personnel. The video captures a highly unsafe moment as two mechanics were working underneath a vehicle that was elevated and suspended on a car lift. They appeared to be attempting to retrieve or dislodge a stuck or dropped component from the underside of the vehicle. While manipulating the item, they applied a significant horizontal force by pushing or pulling on the stuck object. This sudden external force caused the elevated vehicle to rock violently and shift dangerously on the lift's support arms, leading to a severe loss of load stability. Extreme caution must be exercised when working beneath any suspended load. Never apply strong horizontal or rotational forces to a vehicle secured on a lift, as this can easily destabilize the load and cause the vehicle to violently slip or drop from the support arms. Always ensure the lift's safety locks are fully engaged and strictly adhere to all procedures for securing and working beneath elevated loads. The video captures a critical moment where two workers were attempting to manually move or position a large, heavy, and seemingly unstable component or object. They relied solely on physical force to push and control the load instead of utilizing appropriate mechanical handling equipment. Abruptly, due to a loss of weight control or an unstable center of gravity, the load tipped off balance and crashed violently to the ground. Mechanical lifting aids, such as forklifts, cranes, or dollies, must be used for moving all materials that exceed safe manual lifting limits or have significant size and instability. Relying on human strength to control unstable, heavy loads is strictly prohibited, as it dramatically increases the risk of the material falling, tipping, and causing severe impact trauma. A thorough risk assessment is mandatory before attempting to handle any large or heavy material. The video shows a worker performing general cleaning or maintenance duties in an industrial setting. As the worker approaches a storage area, there is a large, heavy, cylindrical or spherical metal object resting on the floor. Crucially, this object was not properly chocked, secured, or blocked to prevent rolling. Just as the worker came into close proximity, The unsecured load suddenly began to roll and tipped over, striking and pinning the worker. It is mandatory to safely chock, lock, or secure all heavy, round, or unstable materials to ensure their complete immobility, even during routine tasks. Workers must never enter the line of fire, the area of potential impact around unsecured loads. This incident highlights that failure to employ basic load stabilization methods can lead to sudden, severe crush or impact accidents. The video documents a severe construction site incident involving a large road roller or compactor actively working. A worker was operating or walking in an area far too close to the heavy machinery's active movement radius. Due to a critical lack of awareness, failure to maintain the required safe distance, and the equipment operator's severely limited field of vision, blind spots, the worker was unexpectedly caught and struck by the heavy steel drum of the moving roller. It is mandatory to establish and strictly respect a safe working perimeter or clear zone around all active heavy equipment, like compactors, rollers, and excavators. Workers are strictly prohibited from walking or performing tasks within the swing or turning radius of moving machinery. Utilizing dedicated spotters who maintain visual contact with both the operator and the crew, along with maintaining high situational awareness, is absolutely essential to prevent devastating contact accidents. The footage reveals 3 workers attempting a high-risk task, using a small, handheld cutting tool to cut into a large, closed metal container, possibly a gas or fuel storage tank, gas fuel containment drum. Crucially, they proceeded without specialized heavy equipment or safety precautions designed for hot work on potentially pressurized vessels. Suddenly, the container ignited or experienced a rapid pressure release, causing a loud detonation that violently launched the container a significant distance. Fortunately, the workers reacted quickly and were able to avoid direct impact. Strictly prohibit any hot work, grinding, or cutting on closed containers that may have held flammable materials or be pressurized. Always use certified cold cutting methods, completely purge the container of all residue and vapors, and vent any internal pressure before beginning work. This incident demonstrates the catastrophic danger of uncontrolled pressure release and the necessity of specialized safety protocols for container handling. The video captures a dangerous moment where a worker was operating near a lifting device or crane used to raise or position a heavy, cylindrical component or casing. Alarmingly, during the lift or transit, the component slipped or detached from the lifting apparatus due to an apparent failure in the rigging or an unsecured attachment. The heavy load subsequently fell uncontrollably to the floor in the immediate vicinity of the working area, and the impact forcefully threw the nearby worker backward. It is mandatory to use certified and thoroughly inspected rigging hardware and techniques before every single lift. Working or walking within the fall zone beneath a suspended load is strictly prohibited. Ensuring that loads are securely, stably, and redundantly anchored is the absolute defense against catastrophic dropped material incidents and severe impact injuries. The video documents a severe incident occurring during a fuel transfer or liquid product pumping operation involving a tanker truck. Alarming footage shows that while this process with highly flammable liquids was underway, a sudden fire erupted in the immediate vicinity of the transfer connections. It appears that fuel vapors ignited due to an uncontrolled ignition source, such as static electricity or an unmanaged heat source. The resulting flames quickly spread and threatened the entire tanker truck and the surrounding area. Strict adherence to procedures for grounding, bonding, and static electricity control is mandatory when handling or transferring flammable liquids. All sources of ignition, including open flames, sparks, and uncertified electrical equipment, must be strictly excluded from the transfer zone. Emergency fire suppression equipment must be readily accessible, and all personnel involved must be highly trained to execute immediate and safe response procedures in the event of a fire emergency. The video records a devastating incident where a large mobile crane was actively engaged in lifting a heavy load. Alarmingly, the crane abruptly lost its stability and began to tilt severely. This failure was likely caused by either lifting a load that grossly exceeded the crane's safe working capacity, as outlined in the load chart, or by failing to properly deploy the outriggers on a stable surface. The result was the complete collapse of the entire crane structure, causing a massive construction site accident. Strict adherence to the crane's load chart is mandatory. Never lift a weight that exceeds the certified capacity at the given radius. It is strictly forbidden to operate lifting equipment without fully and correctly deploying all stabilizing outriggers on firm, level ground. Equipment stability is not optional. It is an absolute requirement to prevent catastrophic overturning events and subsequent property damage. The video documents a severe incident inside a large warehouse or industrial facility where two forklifts were operating in the same area. Alarmingly, both operators failed to maintain adequate situational awareness or adhere to internal traffic regulations. The outcome was a significant collision between the two forklifts at an intersection or blind corner. The force of the impact caused a large, tall stack of unstable cargo on one of the trucks to lose stability and collapse violently onto the surrounding floor space. Forklift operators are strictly required to maintain safe speeds, sound the horn at all intersections and blind spots, and continuously perform 360-degree observation. Operating equipment with obstructed visibility or a lapse in attention is strictly forbidden. Strict compliance with internal traffic and safety protocols is essential to prevent equipment collisions and catastrophic product fall incidents. The video records a severe traffic incident where a large semi-trailer truck was traveling on a highway during wet, rainy, or slippery road conditions. Alarmingly, due to speed inappropriate for the slick road surface, the truck operator lost control, causing the vehicle to hydroplane, skid, and ultimately jackknife when the trailer swings sharply toward the cab. This catastrophic loss of control resulted in the vehicle colliding violently and spinning uncontrollably. Commercial vehicle operators must significantly reduce speed when encountering adverse weather, especially rain or ice. Sudden or aggressive braking and steering maneuvers are strictly forbidden on slick roads, as these actions are the primary cause of hydroplaning and the complete loss of control over a heavy load. Defensive driving and increasing following distances are essential practices to maintain safety and prevent serious road incidents. The video captures a terrifying moment of a natural disaster occurring in a residential area situated near a steep hill or rocky slope. A massive, heavy boulder or rock formation suddenly and violently rolled downhill at a high speed. The momentum caused the rock to impact and tear through a nearby residential building, resulting in severe structural damage. Fortunately, an elderly resident inside the house was able to react instantaneously and move quickly away from the immediate impact zone just moments before the collision. The core lesson here is critical. Residents living in areas prone to rockfalls, landslides, or steep terrain must maintain constant vigilance for warning signs, especially following heavy rainfall or seismic activity. Knowing and practicing evacuation routes and being prepared to rapidly shelter or evacuate when disaster warnings are issued is essential for protecting individuals and families from sudden and catastrophic natural events. The video captures an extremely high-risk action where an individual used an open flame to manually test the flammability of a material, which appears to be a roll of foam or insulating product. Immediately upon the small flame making contact, the material reacted with extreme intensity, igniting fiercely and rapidly producing a massive plume of thick, dense smoke. The person conducting the test was visibly overwhelmed by the sudden speed and severity of the fire and smoke burst. It is strictly prohibited to conduct burn tests on potentially flammable materials without certified personal protective equipment, PPE, adequate ventilation, and readily available fire suppression equipment. Many common construction and packaging materials are highly combustible and capable of generating dangerous toxic smoke. Strictly controlling ignition sources and properly identifying material hazards are non-negotiable requirements to prevent rapid onset fire emergencies. The video documents a severe workplace incident inside a warehouse or storage area where a large quantity of bagged material, appearing to be heavy products like cement or aggregate, was stacked in a tall pile. Alarmingly, the heavy stack lost its structural integrity and abruptly experienced a complete collapse. A worker operating in the immediate vicinity was overwhelmed and pinned by the massive, shifting weight of the material. Strict adherence to safe stacking and storage protocols is mandatory. This includes respecting designated height limits, utilizing interlocking stacking patterns, and employing certified shelving or pallet racking systems to ensure stability. Working near or beneath any visibly unstable stack of heavy materials is strictly prohibited. Load stability is the absolute requirement to prevent sudden product collapses that pose a severe crush and impact hazard. The video, a critical stability failure during the process of loading a heavy container truck onto a lowboy or transport trailer. While the truck was actively driven up the transfer ramp, the vehicle's combination of high center of gravity and the steep or possibly uneven angle of ascent caused an immediate and dramatic loss of stability. The container truck quickly began to list severely, lost its balance, and instantly tipped over onto its side as it reached the top of the trailer bed. Loading high-profile or heavy vehicles onto transport trailers demands meticulous planning and certified procedures. It is mandatory to ensure the loading area is level, the ramps are securely fastened and rated for the load's weight, and the vehicle is driven at a slow, steady pace without sudden steering corrections. Failure to control the center of gravity and maintain stability during loading operations leads directly to catastrophic tipping accidents. The video captures a terrifying moment when a large truck unexpectedly lost control and veered directly toward a residential area located roadside. The heavy vehicle collided with and severely damaged the front section of a house, causing significant destruction. Notably, a woman who was present with a child quickly recognized the imminent danger and instantly pulled the child away from the impact zone mere seconds before the collision occurred. A high level of vigilance must be maintained even in seemingly secure or stable environments. Mastering the skill of observing your surroundings and maintaining continuous situational awareness is essential for enabling rapid emergency response when confronting sudden, uncontrollable dangers like out-of-control vehicle accidents. Quick thinking and immediate action can drastically alter the outcome of an unpredictable event. The video captures a terrifying moment when a large truck unexpectedly lost control and veered directly toward a residential area located roadside. The heavy vehicle collided with and severely damaged the front section of a house, causing significant destruction. Notably, a woman who was present with a child quickly recognized the imminent danger and instantly pulled the child away from the impact zone mere seconds before the collision occurred. A high level of vigilance must be maintained even in seemingly secure or stable environments. Mastering the skill of observing your surroundings and maintaining continuous situational awareness is essential for enabling rapid emergency response when confronting sudden, uncontrollable dangers like out-of-control vehicle accidents. Quick thinking and immediate action can drastically alter the outcome of an unpredictable event. The video documents a severe operational safety failure where a worker attempted to use a standard forklift, an apparatus primarily designed for lifting palletized goods, to load an automobile onto a transport truck bed. Alarming footage shows that as the car was lifted and maneuvered, the unbalanced load and excessive height reach caused the forklift to rapidly lose its center of gravity and overall stability. The result was the forklift losing its balance, causing the automobile to tumble to the ground and leading to a significant loss of equipment control. It is strictly forbidden to use lifting equipment, such as a forklift, for purposes or loads for which it is not specifically designed or certified. Lifting unbalanced loads or exceeding the safe operating capacity limits is non-negotiable. Only specialized lifting machinery and documented, safe procedures must be used to ensure the stability and security of both the equipment and the material being handled. The video documents a severe workplace incident during the transport or staging of enormous, heavy glass panels in an industrial setting. The footage shows workers attempting to maneuver dozens of these large, heavy sheets using a hand dolly or cart, rather than certified mechanical lifting equipment like a specialized forklift or crane. Critically, during this manual movement, the vertically stored panels abruptly lost stability, resulting in a sudden, forceful collapse forward. The entire mass of heavy glass then crashed down onto a worker who was positioned directly in the path of the falling load. Manual movement of large, heavy, and inherently unstable materials like massive glass sheets is strictly prohibited. Certified mechanical handling equipment, such as A-frame carts and secure lifting devices, must be used exclusively. Workers must never enter the fall path or crush zone of vertically stored or transported materials. Adherence to established load handling protocols is essential to prevent catastrophic collapses involving sharp and extremely heavy objects. The video documents an extremely risky maneuver where a motorcycle rider attempted to drive across a road or low-lying bridge section that was heavily flooded with swift-moving water. Alarmingly, due to the sheer force of the flood current and the loss of tire traction, the motorcycle was violently pushed by the water, leading to a loss of control and nearly complete washout. The operator had to struggle intensely to maintain balance and desperately escape the dangerous current. It is absolutely forbidden to attempt driving or walking through flooded areas, especially where water is moving rapidly. Floodwater, even at relatively shallow depths, generates immense sweeping force that can easily destabilize vehicles and sweep individuals away. Always seek safer alternative routes or wait for the water level to recede to ensure absolute safety when navigating flood-affected regions. The video illustrates a serious workplace safety lapse involving a worker operating or inspecting a piece of mobile or automated machinery. The footage shows that while the worker's attention was momentarily diverted from the immediate area, the mechanical assembly unexpectedly activated or reversed its movement, resulting in a forceful collision with the individual. Workers must maintain continuous situational awareness and line of sight and never place themselves within the operational path of moving equipment. Before any close-range work or inspection, lockout, tagout, LOTO procedures must be implemented to fully de-energize and secure all machinery, preventing unexpected startup or motion. Never turn your back on unsecured, dynamic equipment capable of moving on its own. The surveillance footage captures a moment when a scooter rider, while traveling along a road adjacent to a canal or ditch, dramatically loses control and drives directly over the edge into the water. The incident was clearly the result of severe driver inattention or distraction. The vehicle veered off the safe path and tumbled into the canal below, serving as a stark illustration of the dangers of operating any vehicle without focus. Operators must maintain absolute concentration on the road ahead at all times. All forms of distraction are strictly prohibited while driving, especially on narrow roads or near drop-offs. Continuous vigilance is the only way to prevent sudden, avoidable accidents. The surveillance video shows a high-risk situation where a cyclist attempted to cross a busy, wet road without fully checking for traffic. An oncoming truck, traveling at a decent speed, suddenly spotted the cyclist. The truck driver performed a rapid, defensive steering maneuver toward the shoulder to avoid impact. Thanks to the truck driver's quick reaction time, a severe collision was successfully prevented, ensuring the cyclist's safety. Cyclists and pedestrians must always look both ways carefully before crossing, especially in poor visibility conditions like rain. Truck drivers must maintain vigilance to anticipate and react to sudden hazards. Situational awareness and quick reflexes are crucial life-saving tools. The security camera footage documents a terrifying structural failure in what appears to be a busy public waiting hall or customer lobby where people were gathered, possibly obtaining tickets or queuing. Suddenly, and without warning, the ceiling structure above the crowd immediately and completely collapsed. The falling material and debris overwhelmed the area, burying the individuals who were standing underneath. Building owners and facility managers, have a mandatory duty to ensure regular and thorough structural inspections of public areas, especially ceilings and overhead structures, to prevent sudden catastrophic failures. When a building shows signs of structural stress, water damage, or instability, the area must be immediately barricaded and evacuated. The public should always report visible structural defects to authorities immediately. The video documents a severe workplace safety incident in a manufacturing environment involving an employee operating an industrial press or stamping machine. Alarmingly, the worker reached into the machine's critical point of operation while the equipment was powered on or ready for activation. As a result, the powerful ram or compression mechanism descended, making forceful contact with the worker's hand. It is strictly forbidden to place hands or any body part into the moving sections of machinery unless the equipment has been completely de-energized and secured using the lockout, tag-out procedure. Mandatory compliance requires the use of specialized tools and strict adherence to protective machine guarding to prevent direct contact with high-hazard components. Maintaining a safe operational distance is the fundamental requirement to prevent severe crush and amputation injuries. The video documents a serious safety incident within a warehouse or storage facility where a large, heavy freight unit was either improperly packaged or insecurely stacked. Alarmingly, while workers were moving or positioned nearby, the inherent instability of the load caused the massive unit to suddenly shift, tilt, and completely crash to the floor. A worker who was in the process of handling the materials was caught in the collapse and was forcibly struck by the heavy package. Strict adherence to protocols for stacking and securing heavy freight is mandatory. This includes the use of strapping, shrink wrap, and other approved containment methods to guarantee load integrity and stability. It is strictly prohibited to work near or move unstable freight that shows any signs of shifting or tipping. Thorough inspection and stabilization of all heavy loads prior to handling or storage is the essential requirement to prevent catastrophic collapses that pose severe crush and impact risks. The video captures an extremely high-risk situation within a machine shop or construction yard where a worker was performing a cutting operation on a heavy metal shaft from an elevated position. Alarmingly, the area directly beneath the overhead work zone was not barricaded, restricted, or marked with warning signs. Immediately after the cutting task was finished, the large metal shaft fell straight down onto the shop floor. Fortunately, no personnel were directly beneath the impact zone at that precise moment. It is mandatory to establish a clearly demarcated and barricaded danger zone beneath any active overhead work area. Strictly prohibited is performing elevated work without adequate securing measures, tethers or restraints for all materials and tools to prevent dropped object incidents. Management and workers are jointly responsible for ensuring no one enters the restricted zone while materials are being handled, cut, or maneuvered aloft. The video documents a severe industrial incident involving the handling or securing of a massive, heavy metal coil. The footage shows a worker attempting to cut the binding straps or bands securing the coil. Alarmingly, the moment the restraints were released, the immense internal tension of the coil caused it to suddenly and violently spring open, releasing significant energy. A worker who was operating in the immediate vicinity failed to move clear of the hazard path and was forcefully struck by the rapidly uncoiling, heavy material. Strict, certified procedures and specialized, high-tensile strapping must be used to contain heavy metal coils. Workers are absolutely forbidden from placing themselves in the line of fire, the path of potential energy release, when cutting restraints or dealing with materials under tension. Mandatory safety protocols, proper risk assessment, and maintaining a clear evacuation route are essential to prevent severe impact injuries from sudden material release. The video documents a significant material handling incident where workers were using a front-end loader to place a large, heavy metal block or scrap iron mass onto a transport truck bed. Alarming footage reveals that the loading area was not adequately prepared to receive and stabilize the vertical load. Furthermore, likely due to a combination of the operator's lack of experience and the heavy, unstable nature of the object. The load slipped and fell with tremendous force onto the ground. The massive block then rolled rapidly towards the front of the truck, causing severe damage to the truck's cab area. Fortunately, no personnel were in the immediate vicinity and were not impacted by the falling or rolling object. All heavy loading operations require a certified, experienced operator and a thorough pre-task plan. The receiving area, the truck bed, must be properly prepared and secured to safely receive and contain the load. Never attempt to load unbalanced or top-heavy objects without appropriate bracing or handling equipment. Effective load stabilization and maintaining clear safety zones are paramount to preventing catastrophic damage and crush hazards. The video documents a severe construction or rigging incident where workers were attempting to raise a heavy structure, likely a pipe or exhaust stack, to an elevated position for assembly. Alarmingly, the temporary wooden beam or support system being used to hoist or stabilize the load suddenly and violently snapped in half. This immediate equipment failure caused the heavy structure to plummet forcefully downward, striking a nearby worker who did not have enough time to react and escape the path of the falling object. Pre-lift safety checks must strictly mandate the use of certified, load-rated rigging equipment and permanent supports, not temporary or unrated materials. It is strictly forbidden to rely on uncertified materials like timber beams for critical load-bearing tasks. Workers must maintain an absolute safe distance and stay clear of the fall zone, the path of potential collapse, of any heavy material being lifted or secured. The video documents a severe industrial safety incident in a manufacturing or logistics setting where a worker was operating near an active conveyor belt system. Alarmingly, the employee allowed their hand to come into contact with, or too close to a critical pinch point, the area where the moving belt meets a stationary machine component. As a direct result, the worker's hand was caught and compressed by the powerful motion of the conveyor belt. It is strictly forbidden to place hands or any part of the body near nip points, crush zones, or points of operation while equipment is powered on or in motion. Mandatory safety requirements include installing and maintaining robust machine guarding to fully enclose all moving parts and in-running nips, maintaining a safe operational distance and strictly adhering to lockout, tagout, LOTO procedures before any contact or maintenance is essential to prevent severe entanglement and compression injuries. The video documents a dangerous incident within a production facility or workshop where workers were engaged in fast-paced tasks. While one employee was working at an elevated position or near overhead materials, a small spark or momentary flame suddenly ignited. Alarming footage shows that the worker was unable to immediately extinguish the initial ignition. Due to the nature of the materials present, the flame quickly escalated and spread aggressively throughout the shop floor. Strict adherence to hot work permits and fire watch protocols is mandatory when performing tasks that generate sparks or heat, especially near combustible materials. Workers must have immediate access to functional fire extinguishers and be trained in their proper, swift use to handle initial ignitions. All facilities must strictly enforce clear floor policies and proper storage of flammable materials to prevent small sparks from rapidly turning into a large, uncontrollable incident. The footage shows an incident where a worker was standing in close proximity to the control panel or viewing window of a piece of industrial machinery. Alarmingly, while the machine was operating, the protective glass or panel violently ruptured with significant force. The resulting blast of debris or material struck the worker directly in the face. Workers must always maintain a safe standoff distance from machine enclosures that involve pressurized systems, high-speed movement, or potential internal failure. Strict personal protective equipment, PPE, protocols, including reinforced face shields and safety glasses, must be worn when operating or observing potentially hazardous machinery. Regular maintenance and pressure checks are essential to prevent catastrophic panel failure in industrial equipment.